All right, so today we are working on a Nissan Frontier. This is a 2013, I believe. We are doing the tie rod ends. The reason we are doing them is not the fact that it's got play, it's the fact that the boots for the outer tie rod are split. So we're going to go ahead and replace these today. Customer requested it. This fits most 2005 to I believe 2018 Nissan Frontier, but they're doing the tie rod portion is pretty much the same for the outer on 99% of the vehicles out there today. So we will be doing an alignment afterwards. So this one here does have a cotter pin securing the nut, making sure it doesn't come off, and this thing is in there pretty good. It's rusted real bad, so we're going to get some penetrating oil on there and try to get that thing loosened up a little bit. So once we get this cotter pin out, throw it away, it's no good anymore. This is a 22 millimeter nut for this portion here, and the jam nut for the inner tie rod is a 24 millimeter. I've already loosened that. So we'll go ahead and get this, see if this thing's going to come off freely, and it does. So now that that's off, we are going to hit this right here at the knuckle, not the tie rod, not the top of it, because we don't want to mushroom this, otherwise we'll fight it coming out. We want to try to get this thing loosened up from the knuckle. So let me grab a hammer and I will show you. So basically we're hitting right here. And that's all there is to taking this loose from the knuckle. And now we can literally just turn it. So what we're going to do is we're going to count the turns. That way when we put it back in, we get it somewhat close, close enough to make it drivable to shop to have the alignment done. But also for me here at the shop, that way it's a little bit closer and I'm not having to do as much adjustment. So we're going to count the number of turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that was 13 and a half. So now we know going back in 13 roughly, and make sure it goes back in the same way with the 13 turns. Yours may be 15, 17, 18. There's no telling how many, but make sure it goes in from the bottom, which we'll go through that again. So we counted 13, roughly 13 and a half. So that's removing the outer tie rod for just about every vehicle out there. Some of them are going to be a little bit different, but that process is pretty much universal. All right, the next thing we're going to do is get some anti-seize on the shaft threads for the inner tie rod, this right here. And that's still good and tight. So we're going to take a little bit of anti-seize. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to basically make it life a little bit easier for whoever does the alignment next, especially if you're in a heavy snow area where you get all that salt and a lot of corrosion and rusting building up. So now we'll install the tie rod in on that side, and this portion will be done. We'll do the other side. I'm still waiting on parts, so I'm gonna go ahead and get you over there to the other side. We'll go ahead and knock that loose and do it all over again. And I'm gonna mark on my table or on my lift here 13.5. That way I know when I'm going back in. All right, so we're back on the other side. We'll go ahead and get this jam nut loosened up here. Okay, when loosening up jam nuts, they can be reverse thread, pending on your application, and also pending left to right, whether you're running a traditional inner tie rod or a linked tie rod. Basically, like your outer tie rod, you'll have two outer tie rods. Some of your older full-size pickup trucks or your trucks generally run a jointed inner tie rod. What I mean by jointed is you got a basically a ball joint style here. So you're gonna have basically two outers compared to, you know, a traditional outer tie rod and a inner tie rod. That's a shaft that attaches directly to the rack and pinion. So keep that in mind when you're messing with this. So we got this loosened up. Now we are going to go ahead and get this outer tie rod off. All right, so we got the inner tie rod jam nut loosened up. So now we're going to go ahead and get this pin out of here. And this one here is also rusted in pretty good. All right. All right, now we're gonna count the turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13.5. So it's the same on the other side. So write that down. And next we're going to get some anti-seize on this inner tie rod thread, and we're waiting for parts. All right, so here's what we got. The original tie rod. There is a left and right on this vehicle, so make sure you put the correct one with the correct one. Obviously that's not the same. That's for the other side. So we know this is correct. It looks the same. Now we are going to put it on the inner tie rod and start counting. All right, so there's our 13. And we are very close to the jam nut, so we're close enough for what we are doing or needing for. So now we've got that threaded on. Because we are going to be doing alignment, I'm not too concerned how far away it is. I could go one more full turn. I'm not going to. because I'm gonna be doing the alignment here, so that little bit of adjustment is not gonna make too much of a difference for me. That jam nut does turn freely, so we're good there. So get this started here. Make sure your castle nut goes on the correct way. All right, now I need to go just a little bit further, and you can do this with a wrench. I've just got the experience and knowledge with this. I've done it so many times, it's not too big of a deal. All right, now there is not a technical correct way to do these pins. So what I do is slide it in, bring it up over the top, and that's it. You can take a hammer, knock it down if you choose, but that's not going anywhere. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, so we're at the same 13.5. All right, there's our 13. And you saw I had some anti-seize on that side there. So next, that moves freely. So now we're just getting this back on here. Castle nut, make sure the castle nut goes on the right way. Take a wrench or impact. All right, find your hole. All right, and slide your pin. Now you can do it another way, but it doesn't really matter. You can push it down and basically let it rest back here. I just do it this way here, just because that's the way I've always done it. Tap it down, you're done. So now if you're gonna drive this thing if you're doing it at home and you're taking it to an alignment shop, my recommendation is to retighten this jam nut. That way it doesn't, wiggle out while you're driving down the road. A little bit of pressure on it, doesn't need to be super tight, just enough to prevent it from moving while you're driving down the road. Because you think about it, vibrations through your vehicle can twist your inner tie rod out. So now that this is all done, now we're going to put the wheels back on it and set up the alignment machine, which I will show you the process, how to do an alignment. I will not be measuring caster on this one here because we're just replacing the tie rod. So what we're going to do is basically what we call a tow and go. So the setup of the machine is the same, and then we'll get into the theories of how the alignment works. So on some aftermarket tie rods, they'll have a grease fitting here. Now would be the time to put that in and fill it with grease. This one here is pre-greased and there's no grease fittings. You can take a good quality needle style greasing tool and punch a little hole there to fill it with grease. That's entirely up to you. But this is it does feel like it's got some grease in there, so we're good there. So that's replacing the outer tie rods on this Nissan, and pretty much most vehicles out there today have this. So we'll get the tires on and start the alignment.